Part of our conversation tonight is the relationship that is growing in strategic importance for Nigeria at a time of shifting global alliances and mounting domestic challenges, from trade and investment opportunities with Mexico to growing concerns over transnational crime following recent drug trafficking busts linked to international networks. The conversation goes beyond diplomacy and straight into questions of national security, economic opportunity, and Nigeria's standing on the world stage. Joining us tonight is Ambassador Omokri, Nigeria's ambassador designate to Mexico. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. Mate, you are standing by to officially resume duty in Mexico as Nigeria's representative in that country. But with perhaps one of the largest busts of a very dangerous drug, the bust by NDLEA, it raises a lot of concern. I mean, as an ambassador standing by to resume duty in that country, how does this come to you?
Well, I'm rather surprised about that question, because I was thinking that we're going to be talking about progressive things, beneficial things. I just want to say we shouldn't frame our relationship with Mexico on the basis of criminality by individuals. What happened has nothing to do with the United Mexican States. It was just criminality by a few individuals. Now, don't forget, Nigeria has been independent for about 66 years, and we've had diplomatic relations with Mexico since 1976, so 50 years. And in that time, you've not had incidences like this, criminality involving people of Mexican heritage. So this is an isolated event. You got to understand, Mexico is one of, in fact, probably Nigeria's best friend in the international community. And why do I say this? You see, unlike some countries in that region, Mexico is very good with respecting the dignity of the Nigerian persons. So right here in Nigeria, you have less than 500 people of Mexican origin. In Mexico, you've got 50,000 Nigerians. 50,000 Nigerians. And the reason you have that many Nigerians there is because Mexico respects the dignity of the Nigerian persons. And you know, out of every 12, there will be a Judas. You've got a number of Nigerians who are, who've done some criminally minded things in Mexico. Mexico has not framed their relationship with us on that basis. So if you look at Mexico, there's a tendency for people to think that Mexico is a poor country, because with the theory of relativity, when it's standing beside a country like America, which is the wealthiest nation in the world, people might think that. But actually, Mexico has a $2 trillion GDP. It's the 13th largest economy in the world. So there are things that we can learn from Mexico, and I think we should frame our relationship with that country that way. For example, why does Mexico have such a huge economy, bigger than Spain, bigger than Indonesia? One of the reasons is because of NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, which in 2020 changed to USMCA, United States, Mexico, Canada Agreement. And Nigeria has been trying to run off with the AFTA, which is the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. We've been having challenges. We can learn from Mexico how to be a success with AFTA. And we are a coastal nation. We've been having challenges with, like the coastal railway infrastructure. Mexico is a coastal nation, and they've been able to overcome that challenge. They have the Isthmus Railway, which is a technological marvel. They've been able to connect the Atlantic Ocean with the Pacific Ocean by rail. These are things that we should be talking about. If you look at our trade with Mexico, Mexico is a country where we have a trade surplus with. So every year, we export to Mexico about $60 million worth of goods and services. And every year, they only export to us about 20 million. And so this is a country that, they value our trade. And even the investments that they have here are productive investments, not exploitative investments, like Cemex, for example. Cemex, they are not importing cement and concrete from Mexico and bringing it here. They are manufacturing here. They are hiring Nigerians. They are training Nigerians. They are adding to our economy. So those are the things that we should be talking about. I was talking to the governor of Zamfara. They just built a cargo airport in Zamfara. And one of the things that Mexico needs, they need perfume plants, they need hibiscus. They got a very huge demand for that. I think we should frame our relationship with them along those lines, not along the lines of a very isolated
Yeah, I
event.
agree with you that we should look at the positive side of the relationship. But before I ask my next question, what has stopped you from resuming your duty? Did the country reject you, or what exactly went on? What is happening?
Oh,
Why are you waiting? Your colleagues in other countries have resumed duty.
no, no, Mexico has not rejected me. No, not at all. You should understand that Mexico is right now hosting the World Cup along with the United States of America, and all of their focus is on that. And then, having said that, most of us as ambassadors have not resumed. So I'm not the only one. The vast majority are in my situation. But it's okay. I mean, these things happen. We understand that it's not something we should be talking about on television. But I've not been rejected. No.
Yeah, but your own appointment nomination came with a lot of controversy, and that the fear that many countries may not accept you.
Well, I mean, that is from the opposition, and the opposition will always say things like that. I mean, we do not work on the basis of the opposition, we work on the basis of reality. And the reality of it is that, we have countries in the world that respect Nigeria, and they're going to be taking Nigeria's envoys.
So let me go back to the case of the drug bust in Ogun State. Methamphetamine is one of a dangerous drug in the world, and is well cultivated in some part of Southwest and some other parts of the country. And it's a record bust by the NDLEA. And some Mexican nationals that are involved, and there are those who think that the link to the Mexican-linked drug trafficking operation in Nigeria raises a lot of concerns about whether international cartels are establishing a foothold in West Africa. Is Mexico able? I mean, that country also is battling a huge drug menace, and Nigeria, in northern Nigeria, there's a big problem that is as high insecurity in our country. Isn't this raising a concern about the sensitivity of Nigeria-Mexico relationship, and how we need to be able to deal with that country diplomatically, especially with insecurity on our hands as a people?
You mentioned insecurity. Mexico, they went through an abduction and kidnap crisis, and they've been able to manage it, to contain it. We can learn from them. Like I've told you, we've had diplomatic relations with Mexico since 1976. And in that time, Sheon, you were a very well informed person. Have you heard of people of Mexican origin being involved in any kind of criminality in Nigeria? No, I mean, this is an isolated one-off event. When this issue happened, immediately I spoke with General Maura, who is the chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. I spoke with their PR officer. I spoke with other staff there. This is an isolated event. We should not frame our relationship with this great country on that basis. There are a lot of things that we can be talking about. I mean, if you want to start talking about criminality, do you know that there are Nigerians who are in prison in Mexico? Have you ever seen any Mexican official, both in Nigeria and in the United Mexican States, trying to frame their relationship with Nigeria on that basis? No. In every 12, there would be a Judas. In every barrel of apple, you're going to have one bad apple. This is an isolated event, and Sheol, can we move forward to talk about progressive things rather than this one-off isolated? In fact, not isolated. This is a very isolated, once in a blue moon thing.
I'll take you. Once you hear the next name that I'll call, I know that your nerve comes up. And the supporter of this man think that this man gives you sleepless nights. And that man is Peter Obi. They say that is the nightmare of your principal president, Bola Tinubu, and is the man who would chase him out of power. But Mr. Peter Obi has said that Nigerians have not felt the impact of President Bola Tinubu's government, despite repeated claims of economic recovery and improving macroeconomic indicators. Mr. Peter Obi says that Nigerians are more impoverished. When ordinary Nigerians look at food prices, electricity, even in the latest figure on inflation, food, the cost of food and the cost of living, what evidence can you point to that proves that Mr. Peter Obi is wrong? Isn't it right?
I mean, Mr. Peter, I say I deal in facts. I don't deal in speculation and I don't deal in opinions. Now let's look at facts. I'm going to talk about what Peter Obi said. He says the ordinary people, the common people are not feeling the impact of this government. Okay, this is the third year of this government. Since this government came on board, has the Academic Staff Union of Universities ever gone on strike? Have they gone on national strike? Not once. This is the first time in the history of Nigeria that we've had a period of 3 years where universities have run as we should expect to run. So a 4-year course is a 4-year course. You're not going to do a 4-year course in 5 years. It's never happened before in the history of Nigeria since ASU was created. In Nigeria, we have about 3.1 million university undergraduates. So if ASU has not gone on strike for 3 years and 3.1 million people are feeling that, are you saying that those 3.1 million people don't count, that they're not feeling the impact of this government? Okay, I'll give you another one. Before this administration came on board, 29th of May 2023, you had 27 states that could not pay salaries, owing salaries. As I speak to you today, no state in Nigeria cannot pay salaries. They can all pay salaries. Let me just give you an example. March of 2022, the FAC shared 700 billion naira to the federal, state, and local governments. March of this year, 2026, the FAC shared 2.1 trillion naira to the federal, state, and local governments. That is 3 times what was shared in 4 years ago. So now we are seeing that you have about 1 million federal civil servants and 1.1 million state civil servants. That's 2.1 million people, all of them getting salaries as and when due. Are those not Nigerians? Are those not common people? Are they not feeling the impact of this government? Okay,
yeah.
we also,
Mr.
you asked a question. You asked a question.
Just for a moment. I mean, and Peter Obi has rightly said, he said that government officials under this Tinubu administration, they glorify statistics that are not evident in the physical, practical lives of the average person. Inflation figure has come out today to say that inflation indicators are rising. Food prices, cost of living. And I'd like to ask you, and you need to be careful, just for a moment, sir. And I'm giving a follow-up. If you go on the street of some part of Nigeria, there are those who say, if you mention Bola Tinubu or APC, you might be stoned. And if you're not careful, you might lose your life in the process. Can you boldly tell Nigerians tonight, Mr. Omokri, probably you're not in Nigeria, that the lives of Nigerian people are better today than President Bola Tinubu met it 3 years ago?
I can tell Nigerians that, and I'm going to respond directly to the statements that you made. You talked about inflation. First and foremost, the inflation rate 15.9, that is what was released by the National Bureau of Statistics, is still lower than what it was on May 29, 2023, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took office. That is one. Also, all over the world, inflation has gone up. On Wednesday, June 10th, which is just last week, the Department of Labor and Statistics in the United States released their inflation figures. Inflation in the United States has also gone up. Inflation in South Africa has gone up. Inflation in the United Kingdom has gone up. All over the world. Why? Because you have the conflict, the Israel-America-Iran crisis. It has had a global effect. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz, it has had a global effect. But what you can see here is the genius of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. While all over the world, they were having problem of availability of gasoline, of fuel, of jet fuel. In Nigeria, we didn't have that problem because our president was futuristic and planned ahead for it. So yes, the prices went up in Nigeria just like in every other country, but there was availability. People were not sleeping in gas stations. I went to Kenya, I went to Tanzania. You know how much I traveled. I was in Ethiopia, I was in the United States, I was in the United Kingdom. They had availability issue. We did not have that here. That's to show you the genius of this president. And let me continue, because you said that, Peter Obi said the president has not done anything that the people of Nigeria have felt the impact. Okay, I'm going to give you a further example. When this president came into office, you had the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the all-share index, the total value of every stock in Nigeria was 27 trillion naira. As I speak to you right now, the total value of all the stocks in Nigeria is about actually 156 trillion naira. It's increased by a multiple of 5. So what are we talking about? When this man came in on board in 2023, our president, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, Nigeria was the biggest importer of petroleum products in Africa. Right now, we are no longer the biggest importer of petroleum products. We are actually the biggest exporter of petroleum products in West Africa. South Africa has taken over from us as the biggest importer of petroleum products. So we are seeing progress. We are seeing right now Nigeria is attaining food security. Before this administration came on board, and you can fact check me if you're home, we used to spend $10 billion importing food. Right now, that has reduced to $2.3 billion annually, and that figure is reducing. So Nigeria is not going to become greater overnight. It's going to become greater over time, and the reforms that President Bola Tinubu has put in place are working. You saw in February, the World Bank managing director was in Nigeria, and she said whenever they go around the world talking about reforms that work, they cite Nigeria as an example. And that's why, according to the IMF, Nigeria was the 6th largest contributor to global GDP in 2025. I mean, how do you...
there are so many things that, I mean, if you say this to those who are in the communities where their members or families have been slain due to terrorism, if you go to parts of Ogbomoso in Oyo State where children have been abducted by terrorists, those who will say, does even Mr. Omokri knows what he's talking about? Well, it's interesting that the man that you say you will never work for, you are campaigning vigorously for, but there are those who think that this man will lose the election in 2027, there is no pathway for the APC to be able to be successful in, and there are those who say Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, these are candidates that will chase Tinubu and APC out of power. If this happens, would you be surprised?
Like I told you, I did in fact. How can you say a man who has been in 3 political parties in 6 months is going to defeat a president who has been stable politically since 1989? I mean, it's not going to happen. Look at, you just had a gentleman on your program, and right now they're having a court case. Why? Because they're trying to privatize another person's party, and it has backfired against them, and you're saying that they're going to defeat the president. Listen, you need to smell the coffee and come back to reality. You talked about Ogbomoso. Now, you don't understand what's happening, and I'm going to try to give you a summary because we don't have enough time. What is happening in Nigeria is as a result of the vacuum that was created in the Sahel, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Chad. These countries, for, I mean, in their own best thinking, they decided to get rid of the French forces. Now, whatever you might want to say about France, the thing is that France has been in the Sahel for over 100 years. They understand the culture of that region. They understand the people. They understand the religion. And while they were there, they had a strong military presence that was keeping the Islamic extremists over there in check. These countries got rid of the French military. They brought in some other people. I don't want to mention that. No, please let me land. And then the situation in those countries completely deteriorated. And Nigeria, being a neighboring country to those countries, began to deal with these issues. These things that are happening is not because of the ineptitude of Nigeria's military and security architecture. Nigeria's military and security architecture are among the best in the whole world. You saw what just happened recently with the rescue of the sister and the twins of the former Minister of Power. So to say that, I mean, people need to situate things properly.
Yeah. We're totally out of time, but I mean, I saw that you were campaigning that celebrities like Davido and the rest should speak well about, and everybody has a right to speak about what they think is not going well in their country for the sake of governments doing the right thing. But, well, we wish our country well. Thank you so much, Ambassador Renu Omokri, for your time tonight.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it.